What's up, everyone? Welcome to BJJ and Brews. I'm your co-host, Noah John. Today, we have got another conversation with Paul Rodriguez. The quarantine and COVID-19 has got Paul Rodriguez in a talkative mood. So Coach Paul has been kind enough to join us and have these conversations these past weekends. And this one went so long that we actually broke it up into a two-parter. So you've at least got a quadrilogy now of Paul Rodriguez episodes to listen to. But it was a great conversation, and this time, this part one that we'll focus on is going to be a divergent from what we usually talk about, because we're going to talk about hiking, we're going to talk about camping, we're going to talk about Paul Rodriguez, the alpinist, the mountaineer, and how that became a passion of his, what goes into it, and a whole bunch of stuff. So for those of you that know Coach Paul, you know that on his downtime, he will like to hike, certain times of the year in particular, one of his big hobbies and his big passions. And if you don't, you're going to learn a lot about it. So he goes into a lot of detail, and it's a really just a cool talk about hiking, camping, like I said, climbing big mountains, what goes into it, how he plans. So, guys, I hope everyone out there is safe and doing well. We'll turn you over to this conversation. Chris and I do open it up with some small talk. If you guys really just don't want to hear us and want to jump straight into the conversation with Coach Paul, you want to probably jump to around the 1 minute mark, and not the 1 minute mark, rather the 10-minute mark. And we'll be wrapping up our conversation and bringing Paul into the fold. So, guys, like, subscribe, leave a review. BJJ and Brews. We're on Instagram. We're on Facebook. You can shoot us an email at our Gmail as well. And now, on with the show. Chris, what are you drinking?
Elise LCN Space Dust IPA, introduced me by the great warrior Dave Blair.
Where's this brewery located?
I have no idea. I actually don't know. I just know it's good. It's like 8.2% alcohol, and I'm pretty dehydrated right now. So,
you're doing your fasted car?
No, I had lunch today, but I'm pretty dehydrated, so it's probably not helping at all.
How are you? How is your week? Your quarantine? This is week 3 of our quarantine episodes. So how have you been?
I've been good. I mean, I've finally figured out a training schedule for myself at home where I don't end up squatting and deadlifting basically every day. Because I bought myself a heavy bag, and I've been rotating that in between days, so it's been nice. So
you do the Boss Root workout where you throw a 1-2 and then you sprawl. Like, how does that work? Give me a breakdown of what a typical hands workout looks like.
So I've been mixing in knees and kicks too. I just have to basically, because I hang up my bag in my power rack, if I kick wrong, then I'm just going to eat fucking steel on my shin. But so it's like, he'll call it like a combo. He'll be like 2, which is like a 1-2, and you end with like a left low kick. And then he'll call like squats or sprawls or knees or, so like right now I'm doing it's like 12 rounds of 2 minutes with like push-ups in between rounds. So like it's been a good cardio workout. It's a nice change up from weightlifting all day. Okay. Yeah, man.
Very good. Okay, so tell our audience about the feedback we've gotten the last few weeks over the podcast and our guests.
Guest, right? So I've gotten really good feedback. I've had people actually personally reach out to me and ask me for a return guest. I was gonna say late great, but he's not dead. Paul Rodriguez, our glorious leader. He's been on 2 weeks in a row, and I've locked him down for 3. And I figure as long as my steady supply of alcohol stays consistent, then
the gym is closed,
and he's not off wandering around a mountain somewhere, then we got him. So maybe some people want the quarantine to keep going so they can hear his wise words. But what have you guys? I saw you guys doing some shoulder work the other day here.
Yeah. So this week, same thing. We've started our workout schedule starts on Sundays, and then at that point, I kind of leave the programming up to Paul. I don't really think about it, and I just try to motivate Eli, who's probably the most entertaining guy to work out with because he moans about everything. I mean, he's the best thing you can do to elicit a reaction is make a workout look really hard and do it in front of him. So it's like if we're rotating, it's like Paul, then me, then Eli. And if I start acting like this is super difficult, Eli starts, "Oh no, bro, don't tell me it's going to be that hard. No, don't tell me it's going to be that hard." And yeah, that's what we've been doing to kind of keep occupied.
So you guys, okay, so it's 3 guys rotating in on each other, or with on the weights. Are you guys changing weights in between, or is it like if Paul's getting 8 reps with it and everybody else can only get 3, then y'all are getting 3? What's the rotation? How does that work?
For the most part, we're able to kind of keep up with each other. There's certain things that I can't, like weight wise, I can't do, so I'll just rotate it. I'll be the last one, so that way Eli and Paul will lift at a certain weight, and then I'll drop to what I need to do, and then they're generally going to be upping the weight anyway. So that way we're only changing the weight once. Like what we don't want is to be like Paul goes at one weight, I go lighter, and then Eli has to go back heavier again at the same weight. So we just, whoever is doing it at the same weight works together. But for the most part, we've kind of kept it the same, and we're not doing, I don't know. I don't know the science behind the program. Paul would know more about that. But to me, we seem to be favoring more of the let's do exercises that allow us to go lighter weights. So, for example,
aesthetics time has begun. I hear.
No. But for example, like if you're going to do dumbbell shoulder presses, okay. If you do a shoulder press with a dumbbell, you can handle a certain amount of weight. If you now do the same exercise but you're holding kettlebells, you now have to, as you'd like to say, recruit more muscles to involve stability in order to keep those kettlebell balanced, because when we talk about holding the kettlebells for the audience at home, we're not talking about letting the kettlebell actually be dangling. I'm actually I'm balancing the thing so it's straight up, so the butt end of it is pointed straight up in the air, and I'm keeping it from falling
you guys
down.
Are doing bottoms up?
Yeah, bottoms up.
Jeez.
So that's so you're recruiting a lot to keep it balanced, yeah, and that way you can still get a shoulder exercise, but you're able to do it without using such heavy weight, but you're able to recruit more muscles and all that good stuff. So again,
very functional.
Yeah, very functional. You'd approve.
Yes.
And
Pavel also approves.
So that's kind of what we've been doing, but we're just kind of.
Are the beaches closed right now?
The beaches are open to the public as long as you don't loiter. Meaning, as long as you don't lay.
Swinging around a kettlebell isn't loitering. Are you?
No, it's not. So if you lay out a towel and attempt to sunbathe or sit, then the beach police will give you a stern warning.
But if you lay out a beach towel and chunk a kettlebell down, they're good?
We actually technically they made us roll they made us roll our towels up.
Are you serious?
No, I'm dead serious. And I was in the water at the time. Like when the beach patrol came, we had finished working out, because when we were working out, it was evident we weren't sunbathing. You know what I mean? But in the when they came by, they just said, "Hey, you're fine, but just roll up your towels."
So that's a really interesting thing, right? Because like lately on the weekends, Stacey and I have been doing our family bike ride up to Redbug Lake Park, and like today they like roped off the. So what we had been doing is we ride our bikes and do our thing, and then park our bikes at like a pavilion. Connor runs around, does his thing, and then like we go back and like have a snack. But like, it's so absurd. But like I get it. But they've actually roped off the pavilions because the tables are all structured such that at any given time, regardless of where you're sitting at a table, you're too close to somebody else. So they've roped off all the picnic tables completely now. So you can't like even sit at a picnic table at the park. But they allow people to play doubles tennis on the tennis courts. But they've taken the basketball hoops down so that nobody can play basketball. So like it's really interesting. Like I wonder if there's just some like the czar of social distancing sitting there and like people are just funneling this dude scenarios of potential social distancing, infractions, and he is now like disseminating that to all the parks and rec and stuff. Like it's absurd. It's getting a little this is maybe it's a little bit red state of me coming out. But like it's a little dumb, right? Like I get it, but also like at the same time, like people just use common sense, right? Like, do you need to rope off pavilions just because people might sit too close to one another? Do you need to make people roll up their towels at the beach, but you allow them to hang out and work out with one another. You know, like I don't know. It's weird.
Well, I think regarding the park thing, I know that when it comes to workout stations at the park, those were like overloaded with people once the quarantine started. So there's a Blue Jacket Park in Baldwin Park had, or still does, it has like a workout station where you have, you know, you can do pull-ups, dips, all that good stuff. And that place was like, had, I'd say 8 to 16 people at a time, all working out in close proximity to one another.
Really?
And then they finally like took the saran wrap and just wrapped the whole thing up. Apparently people were like ripping it down in the morning. So then they had to up the intensity to...
What, like aluminum foil instead?
Well, no, they actually had people like patrolling to make sure no one was touching it.
Really?
Yeah. So it's been very interesting. The fact that we're down in Florida and we're able to go outside and we're able to, we have
everybody can kind of go outside though, right? I mean, like,
well, not if you're in an urban place. Like, I mean, I don't have to take an elevator downstairs. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
In a building that has hundreds of people in it. You know what I mean? So there's kind of that thing. I consider ourselves kind of fortunate. But so yeah.
So I know, Paul. There's talks of gyms being allowed to reopen soon. There are talks of it.
Yeah.
How are we going to handle jiu-jitsu?
I hope it's true. I'm pretty skeptical right now that.
I caught him off guard, didn't I?
No, I no, because people have asked me, and I'm like, anyone that thinks May 1st is in dreamland, I would suspect, there's no way we're not going to be, mid-May is optimistic. Probably June is going to be the earliest it's a more realistic frame that they might.
You gonna get one of those head thermometers and swipe everybody as they come in?
No, I'm just gonna like I said, man, at this point, no, like I said, if just for us, it's just business as usual, man. If you don't feel good, stay home. Like we kind of ingrain this in you when you first start. If you're sick or if you don't feel good, you don't come in and grapple. It's a fairly simple thing, and So no, I don't think that. So I'm like, so yeah, that's kind of where it's at. So and I know I get 5 messages a day asking people, can I train? Can we come in and train? Stuff like that. So I know they're ready to get back, and the guys who are ready to get back are ready to come, and they're going to be ready to go. For people who are a little more suffer from like a little more cautious, more anxiety over this whole thing, which that's nothing wrong with that either. I get it. They're gonna wait to come back. They're gonna wait till they feel a little bit more safer. And you should. I don't don't if you're gonna do something that feeds to your anxiety, don't do it. So absolutely. So but I just know there's a lot of people ready to come back and grapple and train and stuff like that. So but we're gonna go as business as usual. We'll see what the state allows, and we'll see what recommended guidelines are. And I'm not going to make anybody drink bleach or any shit like that before they come back, So.
But I mean, it kills germs in 2 minutes, though.
Yeah, no, it definitely does. It'll probably kill you too. But no, I'm just, I don't,
it's like,
and
no, I heard light does that. Are we going to install new UV lights?
I'm gonna stick a fucking UV ray up everyone's ass before they come inside. And guys, we're just kidding. If you're a fucking Trump turd, that's fine. Listen, it's a joke. We don't really think Trump wants you to drink bleach. Like no one's like, Jesus Christ, you guys are such.
I mean, but if you so choose, that's your choice.
Soft skin, like don't sweat it. It's not a big deal. We're just fucking around. No one really thought Trump wanted everyone to drink bleach, but when you make the meme, it's a joke, and then you get upset that we actually thought he meant it.
Though, I mean, poof, it's gone.
So
whatever we use to clean our geese is what we should do for our insides.
Yeah, well,
there we go. Yeah, it kills everything.
Yeah. So no, but just like I said, back. It'll be business as usual. We'll, like the normal, like how you should be. If you feel good, you come in and train. And if you ever feel sick, like for the most part, everyone respects that and honors that rule and stuff like that. So
people should.
Yeah. So
they definitely should. So I know you've been hiking a little bit more. Have you had to deal with these fucking giant grasshoppers?
No.
Everywhere.
No, and if I saw a grasshopper, I wouldn't even be a big thing.
Oh my God. So actually Dave knows this. I am terrified of giant grasshoppers, and they are all over Red Bug Lake Park right now. They're like this big. I'm not kidding. And they're the most fucking terrifying things on the face of the earth. So, just for anybody out there, Chris Vu's pet peeves.
Yeah, so, I mean, my initial reaction is like, yeah, I don't, you need to get out more, I guess. If that's
Dude,
did you go to Bible school and they scared you about the locusts coming and stuff?
Like years ago, Stace and I, when we used to run a lot, we were jogging on the trails out at that's not Twist Off. We were jogging on the trails out at Wekiva Springs. And it was like one of those years that's like this year, and they're fucking grasshoppers everywhere, right? And there's one trail with fucking grasshoppers like leaping across the trail, like back and forth between the two fields on either side. And I literally just stopped dead in my truck. I'm not going. And so he's like, "What are you talking about? Like, let's go." I'm like, I'm not fucking running through that, man. Like, those grasshoppers are going to hurt us. So
you need to go on a camping trip.
I've never camped in my life. How many bugs are you guys encountering on a
yeah? So
on a
first of all,
trip?
you're never worried about bugs. Like that's not even.
What do you mean you're not worried about bugs?
You're more worried about bears, and
Are there really bears though?
Oh yeah.
Well, not like depending on where you hike. If you go to Wekiva, like first of all, like if you go around here, I don't know if there's bears around here. I don't hike around here. It's just like. Yeah, I take my dogs.
You go for strolls.
I take my dogs for walks around here. That's not really hiking around here. That's like
it's hiking, Paul.
Like no, I take my dogs to take shits in the woods around here. That's literally like I don't consider those.
So how do you differentiate a hike from a stroll?
The gear I need, like how much I prepare for, like I guess for me, like no, and I get it. I'm kind of goofing a little bit, but no, I've never actually worried about. Like I've been, I guess. The most bugs I've ever disliked in my days outdoors is probably I was in Yellowstone at the beginning of summer and the ice was melting, the snow was melting, and the mosquitoes were vicious.
In Yellowstone?
Yes, they were vicious. I mean,
it's in California, right?
We were in Montana. In Yellowstone. You're thinking of Yosemite. Yeah. So no, but like I said, I wasn't afraid of them. It was just annoying as fuck. I mean, it was like. We were getting killed by mosquitoes. I don't know if you've ever seen a swarm of mosquitoes, but we were getting killed by them. And it was such an.
They're worse than anything that we deal with here.
Oh yeah, it was bad because and they're big and the snow was melting. But I wasn't afraid of them. I wasn't afraid of any bug. I'm more afraid of getting eaten by a grizzly or falling in a crevasse or falling off a cliff.
And you're doing like real things. But dude,
well, I'm kind of
curious. Look at a grasshopper.
Dude, I think you're nuts, man.
You're
nuts. I'm sorry. You're in the minority here. We're not going to give you.
Yeah, grasshoppers aren't so bad.
They're fucking terrible, dude.
I'm going to take you outside. I'm going to take a grasshopper. I'm going to put him on your. I'm going to put him on your.
I will fucking choke you out.
And that grasshopper is going to climb. He's going to crawl on your forearm, and it's going to be like, look, he doesn't do anything.
Dude, like we go to the science center with Connor. Like, oh, do you want to hold this tarantula? I'm like, get the fuck out of here, you stupid 16-year-old girl. No, I don't want to hold a tarantula. That thing is meant to kill. It's like evolved over years to kill people.
It's non-venomous.
I don't fucking care, man. Like, it's disgusting. So either way. So Paul, the other day I was hitting up Noah.
Well, I had a question.
Oh yeah, go.
So hang on, I had a question because it's a good topic here, and it's something I don't know. I'm actually curious about. So when we first met, it came out kind of early that you've obviously traveled, you've hiked. That's a passion I also share. But I don't really know what got you into it in the first place. What got you into hiking to the point that you're going up, like, I want to go up Mount Rainier, which is not a day hike where you go to a national park, you go for like a 4-mile loop and you come back. This is something that requires some equipment and stuff.
Since I was young, I've always liked the outdoors. I kind of got away from it a little bit, a little more serious. But I don't know. I think the first time I went mountaineering, and I think that's what you're talking about. The first time I went mountaineering, I fell in love with it. It was the challenge of it, the toughness of it, the roughness of it. My first few times mountaineering, the experiences were all fucking horrible. If they weren't like.
So where and when did this occur?
Before or after your MMA fights?
They were way after. Like I said, I equate it to like it being a challenge. I equate it to being difficult. I equate it to being hard. And that's probably what drew me to it. It wasn't easy when I first started. My first few hikes were I got brought out in brutal weather and stuff like that. So I really like the challenge of it and stuff like that. And that's kind of how I think, like, I kind of related it to, like, I do relate to Jiu-Jitsu more, because Jiu-Jitsu is not really, like, I tell new guys this, but it's difficult and it's a challenge. and you have to go through this process of getting beat up and stuff like that, and you survive and stuff like that. And to me, mountaineering was like that when I was first starting to do it, and it's still like that to me. I still have some really big things I want to do in that. I won't call it a sport, but just that I want to do in that activity. But
who brought you out? Because it's like, because you used an interesting word, mountaineering. Like, to me, that sounds like it's something that requires gear and training.
Yeah, well, yeah. So, I guess it requires training, but not really. I mean, yeah. So I mean, with some of the tougher ones, but the first time I went mountaineering, where I had to use an ice axe and crampons, I had no training on it, and I don't know if it's necessary if the person's semi-athletic and they're not fucking completely stupid, and you trust him to be in decent shape. Like I've you guys know we brought Victor up a Mount Hood recently, and Victor never even practiced self-arresting. I'm like, dude, if you fall here, this is how you self-arrest. So we're trying to teach him how to self-arrest on his first mountaineering climb, and there's a spot on it where it's pretty gnarly and stuff like that.
On a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the hardest, what was the level that you took Victor on?
No, so the climb itself on overall, was a 6, maybe 7. It wasn't that difficult, but there's a sketch on it. There's a part on it where it's like, if you ask 10 experienced climbers, do you rope in here? 5 of them are going to say no, don't rope in, because there's no place to self-arrest, because you're just going to pull everybody down with you and you're all going to die. And the other 5 are going to be like, yes, take your chances and self-arrest, and hopefully some of you can. And it's not a very steep place, but so that's like, but I mean, I was confident in Victor. I was confident that he had the I should say I don't want to use the word courage, because it's not, but it is though. Like we were up there and we saw people freeze and stuff like that. But
wait, freeze in like meaning they can't continue, or freeze like to death?
Freeze, they couldn't come down.
Oh, I was like
when you freeze, like if you're at height and you don't.
So imagine, remember when you're a little kid and you climb a tree, and climbing a tree is easy. Coming down is scarier. You go up something, coming down is the hard part. And there was people who were freezing and stuff like that. So that's what I mean. But the first time I put on I didn't know how to put crampons on. I didn't know how to put, so it was actually a guy named Ricky Carillas, trained with me and stuff. He had went once before with a friend that he knew that did it, and we went out to the Pacific Northwest, and he brought us up, and we went up Mount Adams, and we didn't even reach summit because we got fucking hit in a whiteout, and it was actually pretty awesome. But we had already done some camping trips, we had done some hiking trips, but once you go above the tree line and you're in this element, and you're like, that's, to me, it just felt natural, it felt good, and I fell in love with it since then, and I've been doing it every year for the last 12, 13 years. And the only reason why I haven't gone this year is because of this damn virus. I already been out there already.
So, and just, Chris, for some background, just so you understand, when it comes to like mountaineering routes, usually the difficulty of a route hinges on the most difficult section or movement you have to do on that route. So in rock climbing, it's like, they might be all these easy steps, but the reason they grade it hard, or a 5.3 or a 5.4, which is the grading scale for rock climbing in this case, is because of a move. It's like there's a technical move that you have to do that's up to this difficulty, hence the entire route is rated that difficulty. So to Paul's story, it's the same sort of thing. Most of that climb, yes, it's strenuous, you need to be in shape. It's long. But it's hard.
But it's basically a walk up.
You know what I mean?
But it's an elevation gain. You're in ice and snow, and it's a walk up. You're going to get some altitude, like depending on if you get altitude sickness. But it's fairly. But then there are sections where, like, okay, you have to be careful here, because if you fall here, this is where it could go bad. Like I said, I make this story all the time, at least with falling. Like you can fall 2,000 feet and get up and wipe the snow off you. No problem. Depending on the grade and stuff, and you can fall off a ladder and die. Hanging a light bulb in your bathroom. So it is what it is, how you fall and stuff like that. So, but there's sections where it's like, if you don't self-arrest here, you're going to go down a couple thousand feet. So hopefully you don't hit any rock, your head doesn't hit anything, and
what the fuck?
No, and the way I like to look at it is, like, I tell people, like, for most, I mean, it depends. You can do things that are very dangerous, but for the most part, none of the stuff is necessarily that hard, but there are parts that are dangerous. So it's like there are consequences. So it's like, we're not asking you to do a task that's necessarily hard, but if you do mess up, the consequences can be very, very bad.
And that's only a small part of it. Most part of it is just the strenuous aspect of getting up there. Like there's times where, like, you
or bad weather. That's the other thing.
And
if you're above tree line, you might not be in an area that's a cliff and you're gonna fall anywhere. But if you get hit by a storm, that's bad.
Yeah,
You're just out in the open.
Yeah, when the weather comes,
that happened to you, right?
Yeah, it happened to me twice. Like, so it happened to me last year, early in the season, and that was the worst that I've ever been in. And it was actually like, it was one of these moments when it came in, I was like, all right, well, this is really, really fucking bad, and we need to be careful, or we're not going to get out of this. So, and that was cool, actually. At the time, I hated it. The next 18 hours of my life were the longest I think I've ever had. It was one of those things where you're not crying, but you're like, just fucking end. You start getting like, just stop, like open up. You want the sky to open up. You want this, you want to be able to see more than 5 feet in front of you, and it just won't let up. And then finally, and it never did the whole day. It never did. We made it back to the tree line. We didn't make it the right route, but we made it enough to where we could get back to, to camp, and it was bad, man. But at the end of it, I was like, that was pretty cool experience, like as long as you don't die.
Was that when you almost went blind?
No, that was a different time.
It was a different time?
No. So I got snow blindness. That was when I burned my retinas because I didn't have the proper gear. I didn't bring glasses, and I didn't have sunglasses and shit. So.
When was that?
A couple years ago. So I've always had good vision. I've always had like in and out. My eyes are fucked up. Yeah, you can't play around.
Even now?
Oh yeah, no. I burned my retinas and
really.
Yeah. So if like I can't, like sometimes when I'm reading shit up close, and it was like it happened literally overnight. It wasn't like something that like it was gradually getting worse. It was something where my vision was very perfect, and then like I got snow blindness and I fried my retinas, and then that night I couldn't open my eyes for hours and hours. Like, it happened later in the night, and I was in a hotel room.
That must have been terrifying as shit.
Oh, it was bad. Dude, you're like, should I go to the hospital? Should I go to the ER? I can't open my eyes. It's like, it's burning. Am I going to be able to see tomorrow? Because people have gone blind from snow blindness. If you burn your retinas too bad, you can.
What is that? That's because there's no filter. From the atmosphere.
Yes, because we were on Mount Rainier when this happened, and then it reflects off the snow and comes up into your eyes too. So it's like infrared when it comes off the snow too. So it was bad. Yeah, and I learned I've never not worn. After that, I bought a. Jesus Christ! Like I don't even like wearing sunglasses. I don't wear sunglasses now. I hate driving with. I don't wear sunglasses. But if I'm on the mountain, I have a pair of $400 sunglasses that I wear, like, because I'm so freaked out from that experience and stuff.
That was when you did like a week camp, right? Out there first?
Yeah, well that was the year before. I went I went to mountaineering school, and then so that was when I went.
So what did you learn there? Because you had, how many hikes or how many mountaineering trips had you done before that? That required that?
Oh, almost all of them. I had done a lot of them and stuff, and then finally, I just always broke, man. I just didn't have any money, so going to mountaineering school was like anything. It was pretty expensive, and you have to get on a waiting list, and you have to, So when I went to school, I actually went to school with RMI, and so I went out there for a week, and they taught me all kinds of useful skills, and more than anything, it made me more confident in climbing and stuff. But actually, like some of the like, guys, listen, some of the fundamentals that I learned, of just how to pack my fucking pack right, and some of the tips.
Really?
Yes, I swear to God, like, dude, I was like, God, what a douchebag I must have looked like walking up some of these mountains the way I just carried myself, like to an experienced climber. And so now I know, but just like,
is there not like a brotherhood amongst that though? That I'm surprised that somebody wouldn't have like been like, hey man, you might be better if you do this instead.
No, and there is, but sometimes, but like I said, like when we climb, like I said, like like when I climbed, like when we were caught in that storm last year, and we were on the mountain. I mean, there was 5 of us on this whole mountain, and there was only 3 of us when the storm hit because 2 of them had already quit, and we didn't know the other people. It was just, that's what it was, So I mean, there is that, but at the same time, though. You're with your group, so it's not like, I do, like when I go with people, I'm like, trust me, you want to leave like this, you want to do like this. I try to give people tips now, but I don't actually go into another group and say, it's like, right. Yeah, it's like the guy here, if you're a blue belt, nobody wants to give a fuck what you have to say, like, right. It's just, and that's kind of what I consider myself in mountaineering. I'm a blue belt,
Oh, really?
Maybe.
And you've done Rainier.
Yeah.
And you did Mount.
Yeah.
Mount Washington was the hard one, right? Where you got blown out.
So I did Mount Hood in the spring, which is what I got blown out. But I've done Mount Washington in the winter, which I didn't summit either because we got blown out. So, but no, it's I'd consider myself like a high blue in mountaineering. I would consider like my guides or black belts. You know, the guys I've learned from. They've done Everest and they've done K2, and some of the guys I've worked with I'd consider them black belts, but I wouldn't consider myself like I'm a high blue belt. You know, so. Hopefully, I wanted to lead up Rainier this year. I wanted to make that my purple belt.
Get promoted to purple.
Yeah.
So
if I can successfully bring up 3 people on my rope team and I lead up Rainier, then I'll give myself a purple belt.
There we go.
I'm going to promote myself to purple belt. Yeah.
So how do they decide on who's like lead? Is that just a matter of like who has the most just mileage at that point, or
What's
is it
that?
like you said, like if I can bring up 3 people, what do you?
So like,
how do you decide who's leading? I guess you know.
Well, whoever has the most knowledge, like whoever,
Really? Okay.
whoever knows the most, whoever has like it's kind of like the. I don't want to make it like tribal or anything, but it's kind of like the alpha thing, you know. You just know who knows shit, you know. Like,
Okay.
Yeah, like you know, if you're out there, like everyone will look at somebody like, "What do you think?" You know, like
Really?
yeah. No, but
is there always that one that's like, you know what, this is what we got to do?
no, yeah, and there is, and so no, and like, and I've made this analogy too. Sometimes you're out there, like when I've gone climbing sometime with peers, and what I mean by that is we're all 4-stripe blue belts on the mountain. So when I make a decision, we're gonna make a decision together. Hey, what do you think? You want to go for it? And we'll make that decision together.
Is that a time for democracy though?
No, but it is though, because we're all peers. When I am the lead and I have 4 white belts with me and I look at something, we're not going. I just don't I'm not risking your safety, you know? Like when you're with people and you all make your own decisions and you're all equal. But when there's one person that is more knowledgeable, you just yield to that person. So when I'm with people that like I said, if I always say when I'm climbing with new people, or if I bring new people up, and I won't risk their safety. Like I just you know, like, and nobody will like even, you know. But if you're like if you're with all people who are all the same level and stuff, you'll make that decision together, you know. Like if you all feel good about it and stuff like that. But you always err on the caution when there's always someone newer. You always do that, you know. Everyone will do that. You would do that if you went out there, you know. Like if you were, you know, like if you were a stronger climber,
probably wouldn't make it out.
If you were you know, like if you were a stronger climber or a stronger hiker, you know, you would err, like whatever that person, the weakest climber, you would say, okay, that's what we're gonna cater to that, and then go from there, you know.
What's scarier for you? So which was the one that's like you went in the winter and it's like the conditions are like crazier than Everest?
That's Mount Washington.
That's Washington. That's the one in like Vermont or whatever.
Yeah,
right?
that's
Okay.
Mount Washington. It has the worst weather in the world.
Was it highest winds, coldest?
Like the lowest. Yeah, you know, and definitely. And it was gnarly, man. Like it's one of these things where there's a weather observatory up there. In the summer, you can actually drive up there. So, but we were climbing up there, and we were coming out of the tree line. It's the only place in the Northeast. It's the only place in the northern part of the country that doesn't have a tree line. Like when you go to Mount Washington, or you go to Mount Mitchell, which is the highest peak east of Mississippi in North Carolina, there's still a tree line at the top. But Mount Washington doesn't have a tree line. It's the only mountain in North America, in the northern Northeast, that doesn't have a tree line.
So there are trees at the top? Meaning, because a tree line.
There's no tree line in.
So just for
A tree line is where there's not enough atmosphere to sustain life, right?
yeah,
there's no tree.
man,
Yeah,
Chris,
you go.
man, you're really coming off. as a
So
city
no, when you
slicker
go,
right now,
no,
man.
listen, Chris. when you go out west, when you climb in the Cascades out in the Pacific Northwest, there are no. You get to about 445, 5,000 feet. There's no more trees above that. It's just snow and ice and rock, because it's in the Northwest. Now in the Northeast, it's not like that. Trees go all the way up to pretty much all, but there's no 14,000 foot mountains in the Northeast. They all stop at like 57, 58. So the tree lines end in a different place, but Mount Washington doesn't, because it has the worst weather in the world. And I don't know why it's because of the way it's situated, but I mean, they've had hurricane force winds up there and stuff. But when we were climbing, and I was climbing this with a guide too, it wasn't me. I was, you know, it was in January, so it was the dead of winter, and you know, we were coming out of the tree line. He said, "Prepare to go up on Mars," and I'd already climbed some mountains, and when we walked above that tree line, dude, it was eerie. Like there was like 50-mile-an-hour winds. It was gray. It was snowing. It would come and go. It was like gnarly. I mean, and then we didn't reach summit. I mean, we made it. We hiked up another 2 hours and we didn't reach summit. We had to turn back around. It just got too bad. We had to go back. We just
at that point the guide is like, hey, we can't.
Yeah. And he was like, he was looking at the group and just like, and it was just like, it was bad, man. And like, it was one of these things where like it was cold and I had all the gear, but yeah, it was like, so, and I wanted to make it, but it was one of those days where it's like I had no visibility anyways. So 1,000 feet from summit, it looked like the same as 2,000 feet from summit. It looked like the same as 3,000.
It's just gray.
It's just cold and gray and 50-mile-an-hour winds and stuff. So, but it's cool though. It really is. But I'll never forget when he said that. Like we were in the tree line, we were taking our last break before we go up above, and we're gonna go up onto the snow and ice. And he's like, "You're about to go up on Mars," and I was like, and it's just like you come out of this tree line and the wind starts hitting you, and then like they're swirling, it's different directions, and it's like it's nothing I've ever felt before, So like on the glaciers out west, like you'll get caught in the storms, but other than that, like for the most part, you're frying, like you're hot sometimes. If you're seeing some of the pictures that when we're up there, like the skies are so blue and you're it's blazing. So. But it's not like that over here on Mount Washington, So that is one that I mean, hell, maybe this winter if anybody wants to go, that's one I still haven't summoned.
Is that when you want to earn your purple belt though?
Yeah, well, no, but I didn't never reach the summit of Mount Washington. So like,
how many days to summit in the winter do you think it takes?
Oh, it just takes one. It's just you.
It's an up and down.
Yeah, you can do an up and down, but it's just the weather, and like you said, like you. It's a rigorous climb because there's climb. There's so much snow through the tree line. It's already so much snow there for where the mountain's at and stuff. And when you go up, the weather's so bad. So it's a very, very, imagine just like rigorous and slow pace. And that's what you're gonna be in, like some shit weather. You're going to start at 6 a.m. and you're going to get back, 12, 13, 14 hours. You're going to be in,
Well, that's not that bad for a hiking day.
Yeah.
No. Because if you're doing a hike, like a 1-day hike, many times you're waking up at like 1, 2 in the morning to get started because you want to get to the top and down before bad weather comes.
Yeah,
so
for example, a hiking day, it's not that bad. But when you're up, like I said, like when we were up there, it was probably, when we got above the tree line, it was probably about 3 degrees. And I don't know what it was with the wind chill. It was probably minus 20 with the wind chill. But that was nothing for Mount Washington. Mount Washington has like minus 40, minus 50 degrees, like with the wind chill factor. Yeah, no, it's this, dude. You don't understand how much gear these people put us in. Like they were like, dude, you don't understand what it's gonna be like when you get up there. Like, we look like you ever seen what's the Christmas movie?
A Christmas Story.
Christmas Story. You remember Ralphie? That's what we look like. We're like up there like this, and we're about like 5,000 feet elevation. We're like up there like Ralphie. Every time we'd stop, we'd have to we had to put more shit on,
So for stuff like that, are you doing supplemental, because you spend so much fucking time here at the gym, like training, teaching, lifting on your own, doing your own thing. Are you doing supplemental for climbing in addition to that when you're prepping for something like that?
This year I am because it was a goal, but prior, no.
Really?
And honestly, I wasn't the very strongest climber either. Like there's been times, like I always finish strong, but there's been times like even when a few times I'm kind of in the middle of the pack. Sometimes I'm behind. Like if we're not roped in, I take my time a little bit. I'm not pushing the pace as much and stuff like that. So, but this year I'm trying to.
What are you going to train differently? What are you going to do here to be able to train for that?
A lot more sled work.
Really?
A lot more sled, like more muscle endurance work. That was kind of one of my goals this year.
Well, sled work's pretty like white twitch though. Don't you need sort of like the pink?
No,
fiber?
because when I go heavy and heart rate and the way we're doing it and stuff like that, no. So it's if I was sprinting and shit, but just the slow, heavy pushes and stuff, no. Like it's
just grinding.
Yeah, you're burning your legs, you're burning your lungs. That you put a couple 100 pounds on that sled and push it, you feel it for about 7-8 minutes, one rep, so that's kind of a little bit more stuff that I'm doing because I want to be in better shape to climb this year, especially like on a mountain that you're roped in, and this is where it gets important, like.
Are you doing like rucking and stuff too?
No, not really.
Really?
No.
Wouldn't rucking be the most direct translation, or not really?
If here, I don't know. Like I said, we like earlier this year, like what was it, a month ago? When did we go to North Carolina? Is that a month ago now?
6 weeks ago. No, it had to be.
It was pre-quarantine.
Yeah, so it had to be at least 2 months.
Actually, no. Yeah, exactly. When the quarantine, I remember
It was right before
because when you
It
guys
was the
came
week
back, the
before.
quarantine started, and I
Yeah.
made the joke
So-
that you guys should have stayed.
Yeah, so we went to so that's, I mean, we didn't climb Mount Mitchell. We hiked up Mount Mitchell. I don't know if it's climbing, but it's the tallest peak East Mississippi. But I mean, it's a good elevation game. But but that's kind of
that was the one that Manny went with y'all.
yeah. So
Okay.
yeah, there was
So that's a hike, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So but I mean, it's strenuous and it's 4,000 or 5,000 feet elevation game. But we put the packs on and stuff, and that's good training to start the season. So that was kind of where most people. I remember that being hard. I've climbed Mount Mitchell a bunch of times before. I remember that being hard.
Really?
And now it's just like, and Dennis, you listening?
But
Dennis,
that's
you
the
struggled a little bit to get up. Dennis.
Oh, here comes the shit talking. You need another beer. Finish that
Everyone,
beer.
everyone that was there. Remember, Dennis was hurting. Dennis was hurting on day one. Dennis, we couldn't even we had to wait till the morning to go up on day two.
Oh boy.
Oh, you need a little rest there.
Yeah, Dennis is slowing the pack up on day one. So
Wait, his fiance was doing better than him.
yeah, she was hiding it. Whether she, so if
But that's the thing too.
if
right?
she wasn't, she was hiding it better.
Because my buddy, you know what? I'm gonna make a commitment to Andrew at some point right now. We're gonna do Machu Picchu. Like I would like to do that because he actually lived in Peru for a little bit, and he was talking about when he was living there, wanting to do Machu Picchu, and somebody was like, "Hey man, like, just like you're gonna struggle on this," because Andrew's he's built a lot like you. He's like 5'8" or something, and just pretty densely muscled. And they're like, you should really kind of train for this because like, I guess like lighter people just sort of like nimble their way around and it's like easy, but like more heavily muscled people who you would think are in better shape actually struggle more. So
yeah,
like
it really is muscle endurance. I mean,
okay, yeah,
yeah, like it is. I mean, like I said, I've gone with girls and they've never climbed before, and they some of it depends on your pack, how heavy your pack is and stuff. If you're carrying a heavy pack, and if it's not packed, but yeah, a lot of it's muscle endurance and shit, and then how well you adjust to altitude. Machu Picchu is like 13,000 feet.
That's a crazy thing, like altitude, because like where have you felt the worst? Have you ever experienced altitude sickness from climbing?
Once.
And where was that, and like what
that was
altitude
in
was that
Mount
compared to?
Shasta in California.
Were you like puking and stuff, or
No,
was
I didn't puke, but I was just like, we woke up 1 a.m., got out of the tent on the trail. We were on the hike about 2 a.m., cruising till about 6 a.m. Sun was coming up underneath us, and then I just started feeling like shit, and I slowed down bad. I mean, it was like, I slowed down bad, and that was the first time I was like, I think I have altitude sickness. I had never gotten it before.
You have like a headache and stuff too?
I had a headache. I felt nauseous. I like, just fuck, is this good enough? I was like looking around. I was like, no, but you got to finish. And I ended up making it, but I was slowing. I was slowing.
Really?
Yeah, and then the whole day I was like that too. Even coming like, so we reached summit. Great, boom. We sat for a little bit, started coming down, and got back to base camp, and then like, dude, how long it took me to get from base camp to the car, like fucking forever. I mean,
really?
I was moving so slow because I was just nauseous and I was sick, so and it was just from altitude sickness, and that was the first time I'd ever gotten it. And Mount Shasta is as big as Mount Rainier, it's but it's just one of those things. I have no idea why I got it because I've never gotten it before. Even on tougher mountains, like even Mount Rainier, I think I was just exhausted. I didn't get altitude sickness. I was just tired.
Did you feel like you went up pretty fast on that one?
I was kind of, a little bit, but I was in front. I was setting the pace. I was in front. I was kind of waiting for, and then all of a sudden, like we stopped for a break, and I got up, and I'm like, man, I feel dizzy. I feel a little lightheaded, and then and it just kind of hit me and stuff. And I've never taken anything. I don't bring anything. I know some, people swear about ibuprofen for some of that stuff for altitude sickness and stuff, and some other things, but I've never use it, but now I'm a little more cautious of it, so
I've heard it's just a pacing issue because I heard a story about two iron athletes, and there were a couple, and they went out to the Himalaya.
You mean like Iron Man?
Yeah, Ironman athletes, yeah, and they went out to the Himalayas. Granted, now it's very serious altitude out there, but they got hit hard. They had to get evac'd out because they just went too fast. Like the guide said, they were in great shape and they felt great, but they went so fast that they suffered from bad altitude sickness, because it's not a question of like how fit you are. It's a question of, oxygen and, the oxygen in your blood. It's very similar to people that go scuba diving and they get the bends. You come up too fast, you get the bends. It's kind of the same concept in a way.
And I can see that a little bit, because when I was in, where the fuck was I? Oh, we were in the Alps, and we took a gondola up. The gondola will take you from like 3,000 feet to 12,000 feet, and
Mont Blanc, right?
Yeah, and that shit will when we were up there, and people were like, that shit they'll bring you like a gondola.
That's going faster than anybody can walk.
Well,
right?
a gondola bring you up to 9,000 feet and drop you off, and you're okay, and then all of a sudden you're looking around, and I'm walking around up there, and people are just like down. People are down, like they're just like they get up there, and after about 10, 15 minutes, it sits in where they're at and stuff like that, and they get it bad, and like we have to go down, so I could see it be like if it could be like if you get up too fast and stuff like that,
So what's scarier for you, like prepping for like a major mountaineering expedition, or a fight?
Oh, I would say a fight's definitely always
a fight. Still okay.
Oh,
still scarier.
Yeah, competition like you versus a mountain is you, but you respect nature, no, any competition is probably more nerve wracking.
Really?
Yeah.
Is it because you're
no? Granted, I've never
like
climbed like maybe if I'm like, okay, I'm gonna try to climb Everest or K2, that might be a little bit more.
Where's K2? I'm ignorant.
It's in the Himalayas.
It is. Okay.
Yeah. It's just it's a little bit smaller than Everest, but it's just a more technical. It's got a less. It's a more difficult climb than Everest.
There's a good documentary about K2 on Netflix, and if you watch it, Chris, you'll never want to hike ever.
Well, I mean, like I've seen enough about Everest where I don't want to hike.
Well, no,
ever.
Everest is a little bit like K2 is a little bit smaller, but it's more technical climb. The summit rate is a lot lower. The death rate is a lot higher. Like 25% of people who climb K2 die. It's
20. What?
Some, yeah. That's
one out of every 4 people. Fuck that.
Yeah, like you have to have like lived a full life. Like
that's that's a black belt. Like you have to be a black belt to do that.
No, yeah. Well, no, not even that. Because like
no, black belts die up there.
Oh
my god.
You're a black belt if you try. Like I'm saying, you have had to have been like, okay, I've had a great life. Because there's a 1 in 4 chance I'm going to die going up, something like that, like so,
hell.
So that's what I mean. But that's what I mean. It's a much more.
Do you want to do it?
So it's funny. I'm not. Yeah, of course I'd want to do it. But my immediate goals are, at least climbing wise, is to do Denali next year, and then try to look at Everest, in next year.
The crazy thing about Everest, I didn't realize like, you hear Everest, but. I'm basing it purely on John Oliver's little show, but he did a show about Everest, and apparently, like, your average like soccer mom.
It's not true.
Is that not true?
It's not true. It's just something that people want to feel better about themselves because they can't do it. It's not true, because I couldn't take the average soccer mom up Mount Hood. I'm just telling you, it's not true. They want to make like. Yeah, so it's not.
So you know what I'm talking about? Like
I do know what you're talking, because it's more popular, it's more crowded. People see like lines to get up there, but what people don't understand about Everest is there's like the Nepal only gives about 350 permits a year to climb. So the most that are ever going to climb it out of the 7 billion people in the world is 350 people a year.
Okay.
So of that 350 people, now you have a window. You have a month to climb this thing where you can legitimately make it up. Safely.
Like, yeah, okay.
Now in that month you have a 6-day window where they estimate. So now you have, of the 300, it's probably not even 300. It's like by that point it's probably 100 have fallen off. There's 200 climbers trying to make it to summit on this one narrow path, and there's 200 people in the world who are all trying to do it in this 6 days. And so that's where.
That's where you see like the bottleneck.
That's where you see the bottleneck, and it's always after Camp 5, and it's always at the very top because there's one small narrow way to get up on the ridgeline. So that's why, and I always say that's why people died last year, but it is why people died, because they were up in the death zone too long. You get up, if you get up past 25,000 feet, you're literally.
Do they call it the death zone?
You're literally dying. If you're above 25,000 feet, your body is dying. So you have to get. You have to get to the summit at 29,000 feet and back down in a certain amount of time, or you'll die.
It's just because there's just not enough oxygen.
You'll die, even if you're supplementing oxygen. It's the death zone.
So you won't acclimate?
Nah, up there, yeah, no, it's the
Really?
death zone. That's literally why it's called that. But
Fucking
no,
hell.
there's I saw this on some chat rooms and shit and some forums. I'm like, oh yeah, it's anyone can climb Everest. I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Yeah, like my
Jesus
impression
Christ, I'm
is like,
struggling on the 13,000 foot, like with just the minimal glaciers, and I do this shit. I've went to school, and I'm like, it's difficult, and you're like, oh, you because you saw a fucking line like with these world class climbers and guys like what like no, it's not like that at all. You know, like granted, it's not like it was 100 years ago, like or. When,
just because people are more knowledgeable now.
just
right?
when like I mean, like I said, if you did it 20 years ago, like you didn't have the equipment and the knowledge. Now they have the equipment they have now, and the suits they have now, and the technology they have now. It definitely makes it a lot easier. And granted, and rich people are getting like helicoptered up to like Camp 3 now. You know, they're like the most dangerous part on Everest is like I think from base camp to Camp 2, because that's where like the falls are. That's where all those Sherpas died a couple years ago.
Oh,
in the
okay.
ice falls.
Yeah.
So that's the most dangerous part where most people die. You know, it's like in that place. That's where all the main crevasses are. So
I think that's where the forum people say anyone can climb it is just because people are circumventing
yeah.
the camp. But to your point, yeah, to actually summit, there's only a
Yeah,
small
no, but
people.
even if you like I said, like I can't believe a helicopter can get up to 22,000 feet, but I guess some can now. Technology. But yeah, no, but even just to get up, even if you go from 22,000 feet to 29,000 feet, people don't understand like how difficult that is. Like people don't.
We'll
understand.
make people go from sea level up 4,000 feet just to climb that.
Yeah, that's
gonna be
what I'm
hard
saying.
for me.
Like go from Florida and go up to North Carolina and do a fucking stupid hike on the Appalachian Trail and tell me that and get 3,000 feet elevation gain. And you're like, oh, anyone can do like are you fucking insane?
And then do that in thin air. where
Yeah,
it's a lot more
do that in
strenuous.
thin air and then do it with the gear that.
yeah, like 100 pounds of gear.
Yeah,
basically,
and
right?
the
Like-
shit they have to wear, and being on a crampons and an ice axe and rope team, and just So no, I get it. I get what like it's definitely easier, more popular. But these guys that climb, yes, they have to have money or they have to have sponsors because it's very expensive to climb.
Oh, it is.
It's at least $50,000.
Because you have to buy like a license to do it, you said, or a permit to do
Well,
it?
the permit in Nepal is probably like $3,000 to $5,000, but to the expedition team that'll bring you up.
Oh, I see. Okay. So it's not something you go do on your own. It's something that's planned out.
Oh yeah. No, you
Okay.
have to be like so. It's almost like you have to use one of the companies that the government of Nepal.
Oh, really?
uses. Yeah, because you probably can't get a permit unless you use one of the companies that
Okay.
It's a little bit like that. Like even Mount Rainier here in the United States, like the national park in Mount Rainier only lets 2 companies do climbs on it. Like you can do it, like Rainier, you can do yourself, but they only like there's hundreds of guides and climb, and like, but they only allow 2 companies to do it. So Nepal's kind of like that too.
And in the case of Nepal, that's an actual legitimate source of income for the country.
Yeah, that is there. Yeah,
I mean,
It's
like,
a-
yeah, what the fuck is in Nepal other than
getting the permits
fat
and
and sheep?
Yeah, selling those permits. And to Paul's point, I also know that's true for, at least it was a few years ago, with the Colorado River going through the Grand Canyon. So people that want to kayak through the Grand Canyon,
Yeah.
which is apparently amazing, you're on a wait list. Like that's like it takes about 10 years on average to get through, and it's kind of a lottery deal. And I know like my friends in Colorado, like they have a whole group, and when one of them gets it, they invite everyone and they go. But there's only one company, I believe, or maybe 2, but there's I'm trying 1 or 2 companies that are allowed to operate expeditions themselves commercially. So there you don't have to wait. You can pay them money and they'll schedule a time. Obviously it's very competitive, but you're not waiting for a permit.
yeah. Like if you wanted to climb Mount Rainier this year with one of the companies, Mount Rainier, which is the most technical climb in the lower 48. It's probably the most technical climb in the Northeast, other than Denali. So it's the crown jewel here in the United States. But if you want to do it with one of the teams here, like you would have had to have signed up last year.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So if you want to do it next year, sign up now for next summer.
So but you've already done it.
I've already
right?
done. Because I went to Mount.
So now you're good. Like,
So yeah, now I want to bring a team up. That's why I said I want to get my purple belt. I want to get my purple belt. I want to bring up some people. I want to be like, hey, I want to bring them out there. I want to show them how
What
to use an
is
avalanche
the-
beacon. I want to show them crevasse rescue. I want to
Let's say you do that, and let's say you get Noah, Victor, Amanda, and Dennis. And
Well,
his fiance.
Amanda, if you're listening, you're not doing that.
like what is?
I love
the
you, dog,
chance-
but you're not. I'm gonna bring it over there. Like, although you did great on Mount Mitchell, you did awesome on Mount Mitchell.
How actually dangerous, like pure. We might have to turn around, sort of danger.
Oh no! Like,
can you put these people in?
Oh, 50% make it.
What?
Dude,
really?
When we left base camp, I mean we left with 20 people. 6 people made it.
Really?
6.
Jesus.
You know, and granted, like some of it, like they weren't all like professional. Like I'm not a professional climber, dude. I live in Florida. I do it for fucking fun. Like I do it because I like it. Dude, I wasn't up there like yeah, this is easy. I was just relieved that I made it. Like I mean, I couldn't. I was laying. I was like, you know, like coming down, I was falling my ass off too. I couldn't like. I was so,
really?
I was so fatigued and stuff. I was like face planting, you know. But no, yeah, no, it's not like most people. I'd say if you go up, like 50% of people don't make it, and that's not always because of exhaustion or tired. That's sometimes it's weather, sometimes it looks sketchy, sometimes the winds on the top of the mountain. When we got to base camp the day we did it, people were coming down and like we didn't summit. We were like, we got up there and there were 60-mile-an-hour winds and we couldn't go up. It's too dangerous. So they went all the way up there and they couldn't make summit because of the wind, so they had to turn back around. So that come back next year or come back, you know, like.
So the situation for a lot of these like longer climbs is such that it's not like you can just. First of all, a guy like Paul, he doesn't have the luxury of just having a cabin near the mountain.
Yeah, I don't.
And he's got his day job. He's
I don't live out there.
And then he can just look outside or look at the weather and be like, "Oh, dude, there's going to be a great window of weather the next 3 days. I want to summit then." You know, he's planning, like you said, a year in advance. So the first thing you need to hope for is that when you end up there on the date that you've reserved a year in advance, that you have good weather. So that, first of all, right away is going to affect
Which is
the success
super
rate.
unpredictable.
Oh, absolutely. It's mountain weather, which can change quickly.
The problem is, even if you live out there, you have to. They only allow so many permits on Mount Rainier. They only allow so many people to climb. There's only so many camping. They only allow so many people to camp at base camp. You know, at Camp Muir. So there's only so many people. Like so to even be able to get a permit is difficult. So yeah, you could be like, well, I'll go try to do it next week, but there's no guarantee that you'll get a permit. And there's rangers up at Camp Muir, there's a ranger station at Camp Muir because it's that popular and it's that dangerous up there. Like, so they are constantly, you know,
They just don't want some fucking chucklehead like I'm gonna go do it. Like,
yeah, and they're just, and they don't want too many people going up there. They want to make sure that it's safe, you know. So they you know, now, like I said, at Camp Muir, which is the popular base camp on Muir. I mean, there's a ranger station there, and then there's 2 bunkhouses that the expedition teams use. The 2 expedition teams and then you can camp on the ice there. So but they only allow so many people at base camp, you know. So
So the expeditions are the only ones that have the rights to the bunkhouse.
No, there is a bunkhouse where it's first come first serve.
Okay.
Which is, dude, if you decide to get there early, and
absolutely.
if you can get there early, you don't have to bring a tent.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's fucking awesome.
That's the way to do it.
Absolutely, yeah.
But you don't know if you're gonna get.
And trust me, I've gone up there and stayed up there because I've stayed up there just to. I stayed up there in a tent, and I stayed up there in the bunkhouse, and the house is fucking.
Oh, there's it's night and day.
You don't have to bring your tent. Yeah, it's just like it's so much warmer. It's the winds. You're protected from the winds, you know. So, yeah, you can get up there and stuff like that. So,
do you have any interest at some point in doing one of the alternate, more difficult routes up Rainier instead of the classic route?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, that's kind of like like I said, and I think if I lived out west, I'd probably. That would be.
You'd start dabbling with the different.
Oh,
routes.
absolutely, yeah. Because I honestly, I think with my temperament and how much I enjoy it, I would probably like, you know, if I had a school, like say we had this school out in Seattle.
Here we go.
Yeah, here we go. Here we go. So if this school was in Seattle, I'd be like,
boy.
So on Thursday, I'd get out of class Thursday night. I'm like, all right, guys, I'll see you on Monday, and I'd probably head out to the mountain and just start dabbling.
Oh, Jesus. So when do Mark and I have to take over Orlando?
Yeah. So no, I'm saying if but we have no,
Oh, here we go. You guys are already making your plan, aren't you?
Coach Peace has got you guys. No, but seriously, if we lived out there, but you know, I live in Florida, so you know, and we have the beach here, and I grew up on the beach, and I love the beach and stuff like that. But it's just like that. I've done that. I've did the scuba diving thing. I've did the
every 20 years, right? You said
every 20 years you find like a different passion. I did the scuba diving thing. I did the surfing thing. I love the water. I love going to the beach, stuff like that. But like the mountains are my new passion and stuff.
That's
and
awesome,
I just happen to live in Florida though right now.
You mentioned Appalachian Trail earlier. Have you any desire to try?
None.
No?
None.
Why not?
None.
Is it just too mucky and just fucking gross?
Yeah. Listen, I love the East Coast, but so if I was ever to do one of those things where you were gonna do like a
trek.
Trek, yeah. So if I'm ever gonna do one of those, it would be the PCT. It would be the Pacific Coast Trail.
Really?
Yeah.
There is something about that West Coast, man.
Like, yeah, no. Like it would be cool. You start in San Diego, you end in Canada, but you're going through the.
My buddy did that on
You're
a
going
bike.
through Yosemite. You're going through So it's just I like Appalachians, but man, it's just rock and root. And I've done a lot of the Appalachian Trail, just hiking through North Carolina, and it's cool, but it's not like I have no desire to.
It's
walk.
just miserable. Like it's
just rock and root, and like the views aren't as good. Like when you go out west, man, the views are amazing. Yeah. The first time you've been to Yosemite, right?
Yeah, No, I've been to. Well, I mean, I've been out west, but not to Yosemite.
Yeah, well, just like the first time you go to Yosemite, or the first time you go to like Zion, the first time you go like some of these places, like even if you're in the Rockies, it's like in the Rockies don't have much prominence per se, but the first time you see shit out west, you're like, wow.
Oh yeah. I mean, like you and I've talked to like, just like, there's something just more beautiful about that, right?
Yeah,
like especially the Pacific.
And don't get me wrong,
Northwest.
like there's some nice stuff like in North Carolina. I mean, there's like there's some the Appalachian Mountains, and like just there's some nice stuff, but it's not once you go out west, you just don't. It's not the same,
and especially like the sort of like the range of different types of environments are incredible too. Like
exactly, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, so if you were to go like say California, and you were in the mid California, you started around Kings Canyon and went to Sequoia National Park and Yosemite and worked your way up into Oregon and then like that would be amazing, So it's not like that here on the East Coast. In the East, like I said, the East Coast is cool. I'll give you some reasons like why. If you've never camped, go. It's fucking awesome, But we go on the East Coast a lot because one, it's good training. Two, I can bring my dogs. Three, because I can drive. That's why I love taking Zeke. The Pisgah National Forest allows dogs. Zeke don't have a leash on. Yeah, we take our dogs and stuff, and they're allowed to be there. So when you go out west, most dogs aren't allowed to hike on trails in national.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Like they're probably better equipped for it than we are. Yeah, or it's just a matter of just like
they're just not. Yeah, most you can't bring your dogs in national parks. Okay. You definitely can't bring them on trails in national parks. Not even on leash. Like most.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm surprised. Like because I mean like they're fucking animals.
They can
like,
be in the parking lot, but they can't be. They can't even go on the trails on a leash. But when we hike in North Carolina, we go to Pisgah. It's fucking awesome. So if you just like camping and hiking, it's cool. But if you're looking for that epic.
Right.
That epic stuff. You're looking for those views. You're looking for that like life changing. You want to see you want to see the Milky Way above your head. Like head out west and like then that shit will blow your mind.
I would. It's funny because like Stacey and I have visited the West Coast a handful of times, and every time we go, we're always just like, the East Coast is cool, but there's something about that West Coast. Yeah, like just. The people are a little bit different, like just the culture's a little different, the views, like you said, and the environment is quite a bit different. It's just there's something about being out there. Just it's a little bit more expensive though. So
I think Northern California, like
I could totally see Chris out in California.
Yeah. I was born in California.
Well, I could see you
returning.
Really?
Yeah, I was born in California.
Where were you born at?
Like East LA or something. Yeah, like I still have a bunch of family in San Jose, so like I haven't visited California in a long time other than our little fucking wine trip that we did but yeah, I was born in California. We moved here when I was 6. So I'm a Floridian.
You went to Napa Valley?
I visited No, I was born in East LA. Family in San Jose. We did a whole San Francisco San Francisco, Napa Valley, Calistoga, Sonoma, or is it Sonoma? Yeah, Sonoma. Yeah, we did all that sort of shit and watched people get wasted.
I went to Napa Valley last year. I think when I climbed Mount Shasta, we.
Oh yeah, because you drove down to Vegas, right, from Seattle?
Well, I have before, yeah, but not.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't
recently,
that. Okay.
Yeah, no, I've done some road trips where I've driven from here to Seattle and.
God damn! How long did it take you to get there? When you did a road trip?
So I've driven from here to Seattle a few times, but it's just, I'm not.
You're stopping along the way, right?
Yeah, I'm not in a hurry. Okay. Yeah, so one time I've done it myself.
You did it yourself? What the fuck? I helped my buddy Alan move there because he went to University of Washington. We did it in 4.5 days.
Yeah, so
that was fucking miserable.
So one time I was meeting the first time I went mountaineering actually with
really?
Ricky. Yeah, so Ricky was. So we had a team flying out, and they were going to be in Seattle. we're gonna fly to Seattle and climb out there, and then we're gonna rent a car and drive down to we're gonna go to Crater Lake National Park in Oregon, and then we're gonna go to San Francisco and then Death Valley and then Vegas, and we were looking at rental car, and I was like, you know what, I'm fucking not doing anything. I'll just drive out there.
Oh my god.
So
then you realize how big America is, right?
Yeah, so I actually left like 2 weeks before they flew out there. So I had 2 weeks to get out to Seattle from Orlando. So it was cool, man. Like I said, I took I-10, you know.
Oh, you did that route? Really?
Yeah. No, I went. I took I-10 up the Pacific Coast Highway. So,
that's an awesome route.
Yeah,
man.
no, it was awesome. No, so once I got out of Texas, fuck Texas. I stopped.
It's a fucking big state.
Yeah, I stopped at White Sands, the Grand Canyon. I got into California. I went out to the beaches. Took the Pacific Coast Highway up.
Oh, that's
cut
awesome.
across, went to Kings Canyon, Sequoia National Park, and then I met them in Seattle. We climbed Mount Adams. We didn't climb, actually. We got snowed out as of like the first time. Yeah, that's when I say we got wiped out. And then I started the road trip back with some people. So
that's awesome.
Yeah, so I was like, fuck it, we'll just save money on a rental car. I'll just drive out there and shit. And then
you must have been gone for like...
Oh, I was gone for like 6 weeks.
Is it like, that's a long time.
Oh, no, I was gone like 6.5 weeks. But it was probably, it was like, so it was a fucking awesome trip, man. Like I said, when we left Seattle, we drove down, we went to Crater Lake. And if you've ever been to Crater Lake, it's kind of a small national park, but it's a hollowed out volcano that has a huge lake in it. And it's actually fucking one of the most beautiful places you'll see in the country. We went to San Francisco, did all that, went over to Yosemite, Kings Canyon again, so we went there. Then we went to Vegas, went back up to Yellowstone.
Oh, did you really?
Yeah, we went back up to Yellowstone.
That's a fucking cool trip.
As we left Vegas, then we cut across. We went into Denver. We did some skydiving in Boulder. Cut across to St. Louis. So we took a different route back. So it was actually like, it was a cool trip, you know. Like, and you know, basically we were just eating potato chips and shit, and it was pretty cheap except for Vegas, you know. Like, I think we spent more money in Vegas in 3 days than we did the whole trip the other 5.5 weeks.
What were you playing?
What's that?
What were you playing?
Oh, dude, I don't know, man. It was just pop. Yeah, if I hear Pitbull, fucking, we were just listening to the radio, and Pitbull was popular during that time. So it was like, Jesus Christ, it was bad. So,
oh, that's badass.
But that's Crater Lake.
Yeah, that looks badass. Shit, like, I remember driving when my buddy and I did his little move trip to Seattle and drive to the Cascade Mountains. Like, that was ridiculous just to see. Like, I see why they're called the Cascades, right? Like, and we went over, what is it, that thing called the Trench or the whatever the fuck that thing is. It's like when you're driving into Seattle. Like, I was like, man, like, this is when, like, that was sort of like my first thing of like, oh, like, this is like, this West Coast thing's cool.
And you guys can correct me, I could be wrong. I think the Cascades start in Oregon, right? Or is Mount Shasta part of the Cascades? Do you know, Noah? You going to Google that for me?
Yeah,
I don't know.
He's our producer.
Yeah, Jamie, get on the Google machine.
Yeah,
like Mount Shasta may be part of the Sierra Nevadas down in Yosemite, but the Cascades, I think, is Mount Shasta in the Cascades?
It is. Right.
It's the southern part of the Cascade.
Mount Shasta. So yeah, Mount Shasta is literally as high as Mount Rainier. People don't know.
Is it really?
Mount Shasta is like 80 feet smaller than Mount Rainier.
So why don't people talk? Can you not hike it?
No, you can. You can definitely hike it. I've climbed it, and it's tough. That's the one I got altitude sickness on. It's just not as technical because it's farther south. It's in California. There's not as much glacier, so it's an easier climb. Same height.
It's less miserable, basically.
It's less dangerous. Less places that you can fall in a crevasse. Less ice shift. Less. So that's the only reason why. Basically, the same height, same prominence. Like it's. You know, you're gonna climb 9,000 feet from where you start at, so it's the same thing. But so that's the difference. But when was it? 2 years ago, Viet. Remember Viet?
Yeah.
Viet got us some passes to hike the enchantments in the Cascades, and that was the coolest hike I've ever done in the country. And you've probably never even heard of it. It's called the Enchantments. And it was the coolest hike that I've ever done in the United States of America. And
what differentiates it from all other hikes?
Just the mountain lakes, the glaciers, the way, like, every time you go up and turn a corner, you're in this different, like, where it looks like a postcard.
Oh, really?
And I've never even heard of this place.
Why is it not more popular?
I don't know. Like, well, one, it's super hard to get a permit.
Oh,
it's super hard. You never hear, like, it's like they just don't. It's one of these most beautiful, pristine places. They don't allow people to do it. And what was funny is that Viet has a lot of friends that live out in the Pacific Northwest, and they had been trying to get permits the whole time they lived there. to do it. Could never get him.
Is it lottery style or what?
What's that?
Is it done by lottery?
It's done by lottery.
Okay,
And Viet applied one time and got it. And got it, you know. So, fucking amazing. It was just like, you know.
Have you climbed with Viet ever?
What's that?
Have you ever climbed with Viet?
We went on this hike. And
Okay, but no mountaineering with them.
Yeah, no, we were gonna do Rainier one year. I think it was
Viet.
Yeah, it was. I think it was last year, and then there was like, it was like a massive shift in ice and all, and like it was like I was like, you remember I showed you the article? I was like, guys, look at this.
It's like we would have been dead. Like, thankfully, no one was on the mountain, but it's like at like 2 a.m. Like there was a huge shift and a bunch of basically ice fall. Right?
Ice fall. Yeah, it was
so it's like if you're standing there, imagine the entire ground under your feet just sliding away.
So it was like this and it came down, and like it basically, if you would have been up there, you'd have been dead.
Holy shit!
And when we were
how
gonna
do
go,
they gauge stuff like that? Are there seismic sensors?
You don't know. You know, so all you can know is if you go later in the summer, that's more likely to happen because it's
just because it's melting.
That's when we were gonna go. So it's just never
Christ.
But so that was kind of we were gonna try to do it this year, that year and stuff like that. So yeah, but no, we went on this hike and yeah, it was, you know, it was cool though. But it was definitely one of the best hikes I've ever done.
Have you done the Grand Canyon?
I've done the Grand Canyon. I've done Zion. I've done Yellowstone. I mean, pretty much everything. Like in the enchantments, I would say is probably the most beautiful hike that you could do.
What state does it start in, or what state is
it? It's in Washington.
It is in Washington.
Yeah,
but
people think the enchantment, or no, I'm sorry, they think of the Cascades and they think of like Mount Baker, they think of Mount Rainier, they think of Mount Adams, they think of all these big, huge mountains, and it's right. And there's these national forests around them, and they're beautiful, but there's this chain of like little mountains in the Cascades where it's just like there's mountain lakes, and it's fucking amazing. So,
have you been to Canada yet?
I've been to Banff National Park. I've been to the East Coast.
East Coast, okay.
Yeah, so I went to God, I can't think of what national park it's called up there. It's outside of Montreal, though. I went to the national park up there and stuff. And I went in the dead of winter, so it was like... It was brutal.
Yeah,
I went to Montreal in Canada, Montreal and Quebec. I've been to Toronto before, but we did that. But when I went to Banff, that's actually where the most beautiful... That's the Canadian Rockies, and it's fucking awesome. You've been to Banff, right?
Yeah, I've been to Banff. I went there like last summer or the summer before. I lost track. But yeah, it's gorgeous. They're not as high as the Colorado Rockies, but they feel like they're a little more prominent.
I would say that too. I would say if you think the Rockies are cool in Colorado, you should see them in Canada, like in Banff, because it's just like,
it's wild. Because what's weird about Banff is that like I'm used to national parks where there's like, for lack of a better term, there's a gate and there's like a ranger station, and you're like, hey, I want to go in the park, and then you pay your fee or you show your card, and then you go into the park. The way it works there is Banff is actually a town, and that's inside the park. So if you want to go into town, you actually have to enter the park, and a highway actually goes through the entire thing. So you can actually say I'm through traffic. So then they'll put you to the right, and you're supposed to go through. And if you park, they're going to get you because you don't have a permit on your car. So it's odd. You have to pay to get into the town, and then from the town you go out to all the different trailheads.
Because that's like, I've been to Rocky Mountain National Park, and I forget the name of the town at the bottom of Estes Park. Yeah, we stayed in Estes Park before we hiked up a good part of the Rockies.
Every winter.
Do you really?
Yeah. Did you know that? I didn't know you went out there. So where did you stay in Estes Park?
I don't know, some fucking Best Western. Like, we didn't camp. Do I strike you as a camper? I'm staying in fucking heated. No, it's Stacey's cousin.
Best Western.
I don't know.
Did you go on a horseback ride?
No, we hiked. I can show you pictures. I did like legit. So like I did. So people.
Okay, so wait, you went to Bear Lake?
I don't even know, man. Like,
you're useless.
I'm
man.
terrible. Like I've got pictures. But we went to Stacey's cousin moved to Denver a couple years ago, and we met on our pre-Connor trips, which were fun. We went out to Estes Park. We went to Denver and stayed there for like 3 or 4 days. Then we drove to Estes Park and stayed there for a couple of days and met her cousin there, and he took us on a hike through the whatever it is in Rocky Mountain National Park. I'm terrible. I'm
guessing you went to Emerald Lake. That's what I'm guessing you went to.
I don't know. We went fucking far. It was
knowing you probably went. You thought it was far. I'm guessing you went. At the end of it, there was like.
It was like 6 hours. I don't know.
6 hours. Okay,
we went way past like your fucking soccer mom. I know.
Okay, did you go up a mountain or did you go up a valley?
I don't. How do you tell?
Oh my God! If you're on top of it, you don't know what it feels like to be on top of a mountain. If you're on top of the mountain, you can look down into a valley. If you're in a valley, you look up at the mountain. Did you get on top of something?
We were pretty high up there. I just remember.
God damn, dude!
I remember,
all right, you're gonna have to show me pictures because this is embarrassing.
I'll show you pictures. I remember there were definitely like there was a lake wherever the hell we were, and we were way high up there, and I was like, man, this is some crazy looking shit right here. I'm like, this is stuff that you see in movies. I remember that. I remember people looking at me like I had 3 heads. I actually did them in 5 fingers too. So I did them in because I don't own like clothes.
I've seen your Grand Canyon picture when you were
man.
Vibram 5 fingers.
Did it in 5 fingers.
I've done a Grand Canyon in Vibram.
That's what I'm talking about. I wore different ones for my Rocky Mountain hike. I have the ones with treads on them and stuff. And like I did it in all grappling gear. I wore spats, a rash guard. I don't own athletic clothes. My only athletic clothes is all jiu-jitsu gear. So I'm like trudging through like knee deep snow in like 5 fingers.
Wait. You were up in the Rockies when there was snow there?
It was in like March.
Oh, okay. Well, now I really want to see pictures. I'm kind of curious now what you did.
I don't know. I mean, like Matt took me somewhere and I followed him, and I wanted to walk out in a lake, and Stacey's like, "You're not fucking walking out in the middle of that lake in the middle of March."
Oh no, that would have been fine, man. You would have been at altitude. That stuff stays frozen for a long time.
Does it really?
Yeah, no, you'd be fine on that. You just look down, look at the thickness of the ice. I feel like you need to show me pictures. I wanna validate this.
There was definitely a point at which, like, people who are like fat like homebodies had to turn around, and Stacy and I and her cousin and his fiance, we kept going, and then like a storm rolled in out of nowhere, and we got fucking rained on. It was terrible. So see, like, I like the idea of hiking, but the actual practice of it, I'm like,
Chris is the kind of guy who's like, you know what I did today? I put on Planet Earth and I watched a couple episodes. That was enough exposure for me.
We call it, Stacey and I call it, like, we like the idea of nature, right? But it's like, if we were to ever go camping, which I've never camped in my life.
You've never slept in a camping?
I've never slept in a tent in my life. Dude.
Have you ever walked barefoot on the ground outside?
I mean, I do all the time. If I'm not at work, I'm like barefoot.
No, outside.
What does outside mean?
Like on grass.
No, that's gross.
See, there you go, man. That's not.
that's you're dirty, man. Like, I ain't doing that.
Wow. See, that's what I'm talking about. When I grew up out in the countryside, man, you know how I get a bee sting is because I was barefoot. And you step on a flower and there's a bee there, and that's how you got a bee stung. You know, you were out barefoot all the time.
Nah, man. I won't walk barefoot in my own yard.
Okay, see, now you have a problem. You're beyond city slicker, man.
No, man, like it's no, I'm not doing it. Like, it's funny is because like I let people sweat into my eyeballs here, right?
Exactly.
But like but like dirt. Oh.
You gotta let Connor. Okay, so you better let Connor. He better have permission from Uncle Noah to play outside barefoot.
I know. It's like it builds your like gut biome. I get it, right? Like,
I'm not talking about the whole gut.
Is that why you want him to do that?
Because there's nothing wrong with it with touching grass. Your son should not be afraid of grass.
It's disgusting.
All right. Well, he's definitely not going.
All right. So 2016, I went to the Garden of the Gods.
All right, I know where that is. He's showing me photos right
Colorado. Now. Okay, this is where we went.
Okay.
Like, this is in.
Oh, look at you! Look at his face. He's wearing a Spider-Man rash guard in this. Okay, so yeah, that's you're on the way to Emerald Lake.
Is that a Pussy Valley or is that a mountain?
Yeah, this is the beginner valley. You're a dream lake.
Valley.
You're a dream lake.
How do you recognize that from that photo?
Because I recognize that's Mount Hallett right there. I've done this like over a dozen times.
We went fucking far, dude. Don't give me some credit, man. Like, come on. Like,
you don't want to walk outside in bare feet. You suck.
Okay, so we went. Yeah,
and by the way, you walk into the fucking bathroom here barefoot, and that's not gross to you?
No, because I could just rinse that off.
You can rinse.
I know that's disinfected every night.
Oh my.
People freak out about the bathroom thing. Let me give you a thing. Yeah, okay.
Mark Peace will be all over your ass.
Okay, so like, here's the thing, is right? Yes, I'm a black belt. I've been doing this for 15 years at this point. I still walk into the bathrooms barefoot, and I'm sorry if I do. But here's the thing is, people aren't actively urinating on the floors, right? Are they? No, like people. Nobody's
I hope
like,
not.
Nobody's taking.
First of all, I hope none of you are peeing on the floor.
like, nobody's actively taking
adding
a
like
shit
those
on
like
the floor.
stickers to the bowl so people can aim like the urinals at bars.
That's as far as we went.
Okay, so you got to Emerald Lake. I was exactly right.
Oh,
That's Emerald Lake.
How do you know
that
that's
took you
Emerald Lake?
6 hours?
I don't know. I'm just,
That's a 3-mile round trip hike right there
I don't know if
with
it's
very
a-
little.
remember
It's 700 elevation gain. That's it.
How do you know that's Emerald Lake? You're looking at a picture of ice.
Dude, I know it's Emerald Lake. I've been there. I can show you pictures from there.
It was cool as shit.
No, it is. It's beautiful.
Am I in a mountain or am I in a valley?
No,
Come on, give me.
you're in a valley.
Are you serious?
Yeah, the mountain would be if you're on top.
Well, I mean, I'm not climbing. I'm hiking. And I didn't. It didn't take me 6 hours. It probably took us like 3 or 4.
Okay, I mean, you definitely are taking your time.
No,
It's
no,
not
yeah,
only-
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Like,
So, Paul, what are
I'm
your?
stopping and taking a billion photos.
No, I know.
Yeah,
Well, I
like,
can see
I'm
that.
from a city, so like,
So
chipmunks up there. They're awesome.
no, you can't feed those. Those guys will go into your packs and stuff. People always feed them.
I fucked up then. Sorry.
Oh, I don't want to hike with you. You're gonna do all the stuff I hate. You're gonna be slow. You're gonna be feeding the wildlife, making them aggressive to humans, which is not.
Give me a break. One Twix is not gonna hurt a fucking.
Dude, when they jump in your bag and they jump on your shoulders, you think you're gonna. Okay, if you don't like grasshoppers, imagine a squirrel hopping on your shoulder.
Okay, so let's hang on. Like, there's definitely a hierarchy of animals here, right? Like a chipmunk is a mammal. It has a mammalian brain. It's not operating on like fucking like just its nervous system and instinct.
They also transmit rabies.
I mean, they're not biting me, so it's fine. But
They will if they think you're a food source.
But grasshoppers are these disgusting little bugs that they don't even have a fucking endoskeleton, dude. They're like so far down the chain of like evolution. Like they're disgusting.
Let's you're derailing everything here. God Almighty, Chris! I don't know what to think about you right now.
What do you
Honestly,
mean?
your lack of like empathy towards nature and.
What do you mean? I'm hiking in. I'm being one with nature.
All right,
beyond.
so this year threw us a wrench in terms of the hiking season, Paul, because obviously areas are.
bathrooms,
Yeah,
excuse me,
yeah.
I go barefoot.
Oh God. What are some of the upcoming expeditions that you? Obviously, we don't have a timetable now because of things, but. What are some of the expeditions you want to do? Both, I know you want to take some people up. We've talked about doing Rainier. That's something I definitely want to do. So, what are some of the expeditions you want to do with groups? Some of the ones you personally want to do?
So right off the bat, I wanted to just get out there in May at some point. What month is this? May already, right?
It's almost May.
Okay, so we're not. Yeah, so
Couple of days.
So I wanted to get out there at least in May to do. To do some training, to get in the snow and do some training on Hood and Adams. I don't care which one. And then I want to lead at least 2 other people up Rainier this summer. That was kind of my goals for the year. Maybe Mount Baker. Mount Baker's a smaller mountain, but it's a technical climb. You have to rope in, so it's a more dangerous climb than Hood or Adams, but it's a more technical climb. But it's not as big, it's not as strenuous, but it's a more technical climb. So, but that was kind of my goals for this year. So I did want to do at least 3 climbs this year. I did have a goal to. So I was going to go out and I wanted to climb something myself, which I still might. If they open the shit up tomorrow, I'm on a plane the next day. So I'm checking every day. So I'm gonna I do want to like. So I think that's kind of something too. I've never actually climbed a mountain myself, and I want to do it when. Like now, when it's not as busy and stuff like that, I like to get up there. I know it's a little more. You shouldn't climb by yourself, but that's kind of the reason why I want to try it.
I almost exclusively climb by myself.
Yeah,
Weird.
yeah. So I mean, I've hiked by myself. But I've never actually gone up a mountain because that day that we've got caught in some of those storms, if I was by myself, that could have been really really bad. So that's what I'm more worried about. But.
Chris is wiping.
Whoever's defense wipes these are. Thank you.
He's Clark's wiping his feet now. Oh God! You could have worn shoes. That would have been easier.
Yeah. So, and then we did have a trip planned in June, but who knows if that's going to go through to bring up some new people.
Are those closed? Are the parks like that closed right now?
They're all closed. I'd have been gone already. I'd have been out there right now.
Oh, really?
You think? Yeah, I think I would have been fucking.
No, the parks are closed.
Yeah, my dogs wouldn't have been shitting on the trails here. I would have like. Yeah.
Why would they close? Like how much better social isolation is there than literally wandering around the woods?
Honestly, it's really not.
No, I agree. I disagree with the fact that they closed the parks because I don't.
No,
see
even here, like when you go to me and Dennis went to Oviedo the other day, and like they got the parking lots closed, and some of the local in Oviedo have some of, like, you know, Econ Park has the parking lot closed. We have to park down the street and walk up, you know, like, and sneak in. You know,
you're not.
I know it's stupid.
You're not on top of people. So
no, I agree. I agree, but I guess, like, I mean, like I said, Mount Hood, Mount Adams. These are like, there's about 5 mountains if you want to do glacier climbing in America that you can climb. So if you go out there in peak season, I guess there could be, you know, tons of people out there and shit. So, but you're still not going to be on top of anybody. You know?
And that's the
you're,
thing.
You're
like,
still going to be social distancing.
The thing I got to remind myself though is that when a lot of people go to a national park, let's say they go out to Moab, like, and they go to a park like Arches, a lot of people do experience national parks from their car. So they end up just driving around. They go to the lookout points. They get out. They take photos. They go into the gift shop. So even those people, well, I would argue, are probably going to be socially distancing anyway because you're outside and stuff. They do tend to congregate, like they want to go into visitor centers and stuff. Now, my expectation is you don't have to have park personnel even there. Like, you might have a ranger like patrolling or something, but you don't have to have the gift shop open. You don't have to have any of that stuff.
That's
just don't put a gate in front of the thing. Let people go in.
But I've looked and stuff, and like they like, you know, right now they're not letting anybody up, and I for the most part, I'd say 99% of the time I adhere to the rules of what they do. You know, I don't necessarily like, so if they're saying, you know, it's closed and don't go up, I don't go up. You know, sometimes we'll like, fuck it, you know, like back in the day, you know, like, and there's times even now I've thought about it, you know.
Well, it's different. Like I said, like if I were still living out in Colorado, I would go. But you have to get on a plane. You have to invest time. Like you don't want to go on a plane and have any chance that they might.
No, but like I said, there's like I've tried a million times to get the. I've tried to get the lottery. I've tried to get it when I was there, to get the permit to climb Half Dome. I've been to Yosemite so many times. I've never been up Half Dome. I've never got the lottery, and when I've gotten there, I've tried every morning. I've gone there because they give out so many per day, the day of, and I've never gotten it. And I'm like, fuck, man. So I've I try to adhere to all their rules. I'm like, Jesus Christ, this is fucking Northern California. I live in Florida. I want to go up. Like, I've been here so many times. This is the one hike I've never done in Yosemite is Half Dome, and like one day I'm just gonna try to do it. And if I get caught, I'm like, but I don't want to be.
I don't see a problem with that though, right?
Yeah,
like,
no, but I get the reason why they only let so many people up is because they're trying to preserve it for future generations, and I agree with that. You know, I agree with, like, they only want 150 people. They only want 200 a day, not like
really?
A day.
Okay.
Yeah, not a year, but that's, I mean, you know, I think Half Dome is 300 people a day they allow. That's a lot, but that's how popular it is. And I've tried a million times to get a permit to climb Half Dome.
So maybe even for the national parks, maybe it is a good thing that they're just let nature recuperate.
No, but Google it. I saw a thing yesterday about the bears in Yosemite are going crazy right now. They are, because, you know, if you've ever been to Yosemite Valley, it's like Disneyland.
Yeah, there's just cars everywhere.
Yeah, it's
right?
fucking Disneyland. Like, you know, that's one of the most beautiful places in the world is Yosemite Valley. But it's like Disneyland by 10 a.m. So if you want to experience it, get there early, or like get there, go in the off season, go in the winter. It's beautiful. But if you're in there in the middle of summer, by 10 a.m. it looks like you're in a fucking line. Like, you can't even. You're going 5 miles an hour driving through the valley. It's brutal. So right now though, because it's closed, the bears are running. Like, they're talking about, they are like. I mean, they're living it up. You see nature everywhere in the thing because it's been closed for. Like,
maybe this is what. Okay, so on a meta level, maybe this is what nature needed.
Yes, no,
right?
We've talked about. We've had that. I don't know if we talked on the podcast. But
the dolphins and stuff. Yeah,
this is like the Gaia. If you want to believe in the Gaia principle, it's like the Gaia pumped out some COVID.
Yeah, man, that dude needed that bat, and we just needed the humans to chill the fuck out.
No, but I literally saw
bit.
A thing yesterday on the bears. Like, they're just like they're coming out. Everybody, like, there's so much nature in Yellowstone Valley, which is probably the most where they should be, you know. But because humans are there,
and they're like, just
you know, so they try not to let so many people there, but like, so that's why I said I tried to adhere to the rules and stuff like that.
Have you've camped on the side just to try to sneak in before? Like, I think you did it last year, right?
I've carved camped.
Yeah.
No, I've instead of, because when you drive into Yosemite, it's So let me rephrase. When you get into Yosemite, it's about probably 15, 20 miles till you get to Yosemite Valley. So that's where you want to be at, is Yosemite Valley. So instead of going all the way out the park, I've driven out like 5 miles and tried to find a place to sleep and like car camp and shit, you know. And it's been successful. If you try to car camp in the valley, you'll get caught every time.
Okay, yeah, because that's where
it's so popular. The Rangers, it's just like, you know. So, but I've gotten pretty far out, and like not far out, but I didn't go out of the park, which is like 20 miles, and you don't want to go. That's the problem. You don't want to drive 20 miles out of the park and then have to come back 20 miles into the park the next day because you're going to start a hike at 6 in the morning,
right?
Because shit like that. So, and it's impossible to get a place to stay in the park. It's impossible to get a campsite in the park because if you don't book it a year in advance, you just can't get it. So
and you're like sleeping in a tent.
I'm sleeping in a car half the time.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I don't even pull my so if I go out to California, I'll rent when I get to the airport, I'll rent an SUV. And I'll put the seats down in the back, and I'll put my air mattress. I'll put my sleeping pad for my camping bag and that I normally put out, and I'll put it in the back seat, and I'll sleep in that. And if you've ever been in Yosemite Valley, and even in the middle of the summer, it's like 55, 60 degrees. It's perfect. You can sleep in there. You just got to find a place to sleep, you know. So, like that. If you don't have, like I said, so if you're just trying to get out there and get on the trail, you know. So, but that's what I mean. So I try to adhere to the rules. So this year, like what Noah was saying, I did want to go. I did want to do a solo climb. I've never mountaineered solo. I've hiked solo, but I've never mountaineered solo. And then
that's got to be pretty scary.
That's why I want to do it.
Like,
I want to do that. I want to do a solo mountaineering climb, and then I want to bring some people up and let them experience it, because I do swear by this shit. I do think it would help if you need something in your life, man. Like if you want to do something cool and epic, like I'm telling you, whether you make it or not, you will. It's a different feeling once you get above it, when you get up there and shit. And if you make summit, I can't. Yeah. If you've been up there, you know. If you know, you know. You know, like everyone I've ever brought was like, man, that shit is amazing. You know, even if they were struggling the whole way up, and you know, they're like, that's something they remember and stuff like that. So, and then obviously, like I was saying earlier, I want to lead a team up or near. That's really the main thing, you know. So I want to be able to put people on a rope, you know, and say, you know, so those are my climbing goals for the year, but we'll see, you know. Like,
so can I get there in a year? Chris Vu, up Marinier.
I'm not. I would veto you if I were on the team.
Why?
Yeah.
They're no grasshoppers, man.
All the bullshit you just said. No
bullshit.
You're gonna be the guy who's whining the entire time. You'd be worse than Jamie. Like,
so when you like, say, when you're climbing some of the other mountains, and you know, it's not a big deal if someone goes slower. It's not a big deal. When you were on a rope team, it's very important that you guys are all on the same pace and the same page. You have to be. You have certain time frames. So it's very important. That's why like Mount Rainier is a different beast. That's why like I would never bring like, you know, I'd be like, man, you have to know, like, 'cause it's just a waste of time. You know, we're not going to make it. Yeah, you're just not. You know, it's so.
Oh, you have to keep it. Like, is it like you're leaving at a certain time? You have to be here by a certain point. You have to be here by a certain point.
Yes, and that's where like, so on some of the other ones, there is that guideline, but it's not as important. When you're on a rope team and you're 20 feet apart, you have to stay 20 feet apart the whole time. If you fall to 22 feet for 30 seconds, you're like fucking getting pulled.
Oh,
and you're pulling him, and now you guys are fighting each other. It's bad, man. It's bad. It's like it's you know.
Is that how far apart you are? 20 feet?
Sometimes,
really.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's like, that seems like an awful far distance to try to be able to communicate with each other with wind and shit blowing and like.
Well, that's if you're on a rope.
Oh, that's it. Okay.
If you're not on a rope, then you don't have. But he's talking in the context of being roped up. If you're not roped up, you'll be.
I'm talking if you're roped in together, you know. No, so there's sometimes like when we did Mount Hood recently, when Victor's, like, sometimes Victor was fucking way up there. I mean, Victor was.
Or you could be walking next to the person having a conversation.
Yeah, you could be next to him.
Yeah,
that's because you weren't roped into each other.
Yeah, the reason why you're like, when you're roped in, you have to stay a certain distance apart, because if they fall through a crevasse, you have to be able to self-arrest.
Like
you have to be able to catch him. If you're right next to him, you're both going in. Like,
Oh yeah, that's
yeah, so you have
I
to.
guess these are things you got to consider when you don't know what the fuck you're
like
doing.
that's why you have to like you're basically you're alone. You're like you can't have a conversation. They're fucking way up there, and the guy behind you is 20 feet behind you. So if you're the the two people in front of you could walk over this crevasse and this snow bridge, and then you could be the third one. Boop. So hopefully someone can like. So you have to be the guy that so you might be the one that goes through.
That's quite a big responsibility, Paul.
Yeah.
That's a huge responsibility. Like, all right, so who's your team? Who are you bringing?
We don't know. Like people talk a big game.
Yeah, no, I don't even know who. Like it says, that's what I'm saying. I want to see.
Like Eric said he wants to go, but I don't know. He's never. We've kind of
has he left Florida?
That's the thing. Like he's threatening to
Damn,
go on
Eric,
stuff.
we don't know.
Yeah, so that's the thing. Eric Bate pretty much is like, if he doesn't go this time, he's not getting an invite. He's perma banned. He's banned.
So Eric's the guy we want to bring up Mount Adams to see how he does. We'll see if he gets to Mount Adams.
Is that like
it's
white belt? You can do it as a white belt.
You can do it as a white belt, but it's still going to be very hard.
Okay.
Yeah, if you so that's the prerequisite. If you can make it up Adams, because you still have to put crampons on. You have to have an ice axe. You're going to climb the 12. You're going to start in the tree line around 4 or 5, and you're going to get up to 12. Like you're going to camp on the mountain. You're going to sleep on snow and ice. So it's a good. You're going to see how
Sleeping on ice.
I'm going to wake you up at 2 a.m. I'm like, let's go. We got to be on the trail by 3. We got to be at Summit by 8. Like it's a good place to see where you're at and stuff like that.
Okay.
We want to watch. We want to.
It's a good field test.
Yeah, we want to be on Summit. Yeah, and like I said, if you don't make it, it's not a big deal. You're not slowing anybody. Everyone else can keep going because you're not on a rope. That's the other problem. If you're on a rope and someone can't make it, you all have to go down on the rope.
Yeah, that sucks because you can't go down by yourself.
You can't go down by yourself because you may fall in the crevasse. That's why I said that's why it's very important. Like on Mount Adams, they're like, okay, I'm not feeling it today. I'm not going to make it. All right, well, fucking go back down. You don't need anybody to go down with you.
Eric, you're getting called out, bro. Can you do it? Are you gonna do it? You done with your beard shit and go on a hike with these guys?
So we'll see, man.
That's why he's like parking lot workouts, right? Like he's getting ready for you.
Hopefully that's why he's doing his CrossFit.
Yeah, he's got the Bane mask and everything.
He's wadding.
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll see. It'll be interesting, man. There's gonna be a lot of once this stuff opens up. Whenever it does open up, there's gonna be a lot of decisions and planning made for sure on a lot of.
And honestly, if you ever want to do it, like when shit opens back up, it's going to be the time.
It'll be quieter. It'll be more pristine.
Pristine. It's cheap right now. Like plane tickets to out west. Yeah. I looked yesterday and they were still $212. Usually to go out west in the summer is like $500. It's still less than So if you wanted to fly to Portland or Seattle,
and like a good flight, not
the
one that goes to Oklahoma City and then Dallas.
Yeah,
and then
literally like literally a great flight for $212 on like American.
Buy my JetBlue stock. Don't worry. I'm loading up. Don't worry.
So yeah, you could still get out there, but this would be a good time. Like at least if
And that's our conversation, part 1 with Paul Rodriguez. Come back next week, and you'll get the second part. We go right back into Jiu-Jitsu and a lot of his past. So awesome conversation. We'll see you next week, everyone. Take care.